All right, what's up, YouTube? So, Garrison and I are going to talk about how Field of the Dead works with all the different ramp spells in the deck. This has probably been the most commented issue, like the issue with the most comments in the past month or so. People just don't understand how this works. So we've got a few cards here. We're going to kind of like mimic like how this works.
Yeah.
So I've got the 3 cards listed on the screen that we're going to talk about. So Field of the Dead, it's a little small on my screen. So I want to actually just read the wording.
Okay.
So it says, when this or another land enters the battlefield under your control, if you control 7 or more lands with different names, create a zombie.
Yep.
So, so I guess before we go into the example, when this is in play, every time a land enters, it's going to look and say, how many lands are there with unique names?
Yep.
If I see 7, we're going to check again when this ability resolves, and if it's still true, we make a zombie.
Yep.
So now Garrison's going to pretend like he's got 5 lands in play, and they are uniquely named. We've got Island, Forest, I can't, Temple Garden, Breeding Pool, stupid Expedition.
Yeah, Expeditions, of course.
I had to use those. So we're going to pretend like those 5 are already in play, and we're going to cast Circuitous Route.
Circuitous Route.
Or Circus Route.
Yep. Yeah, I guess whatever you really want to call it.
Whatever you want to call it. So we're going to cast that, and we're going to fetch 2 lands. So here is where the confusion always happens. These lands do not enter one at a time. Okay, they don't enter like that. They both enter simultaneously. So they go from the library simultaneously into play, tapped because they're guild gates. So what happens here is when either of these lands enter, Field of the Dead goes, I'm going to look and see, there are currently 7 lands, and they all have a different name. And it's going to do that for both of these lands when they both enter the battlefield. Because they're entering at the same time, it sees every other land that is also entering at the same time.
So it's a lot like, so the 2 are coming together almost like these are already in play and this one's coming in, then this is already in play and this one's coming in.
Yep.
Since they do enter at the exact same time, since it's resolution of...
The spell itself is putting them on at the same time. Regardless of if you find one, put it in, find the other, and put it in. And that's what causes a lot of the confusion.
Yeah.
Because physically you're putting them in one at a time, but the game actually functions that they're both coming in at the same time. So in this instance, you're going to have 1 Field of the Dead seeing 2 lands enter the battlefield, so you'll get 2 zombie triggers. Now the next example, we're going to say you've got 6 lands,
but only 5 different names.
Right, and you're going to cast the Circus Route, because I'm going to keep calling it wrong, and you're going to grab the 2 guild gates. So in this instance, you've got 6 lands. Both of these enter at the same time, giving you 8 total lands, 7 unique names.
Yep.
So we're going to have 2 Field of the Dead, seeing 2 guild gates enter, so you're going to have 4 zombie triggers. So 2 triggers per Field of the Dead, 2 Field of the Deads, 4 triggers. Now, in the next example, I guess we don't really need to do much of an example, but we're going to talk about Scape Shift. So the big thing with Scape Shift is the spell resolving is what is going to cause you to sacrifice lands. So if they counter it, you don't sacrifice anything.
Right.
So
I guess the point to this is 8 is a key number for this deck.
Yes.
Because you get to find 2 fields.
Multiple Field of the Deads.
And this.
Yep. Now, the easy way to do the Scape Shift math on this one is when they're entering, you count. I Scape Shifted for 8 lands. I have 2 fields. All 8 lands enter at the same time.
Yep.
So both fields see 8 lands, which is 16 triggers.
Yep.
Now, if you had 4 in play, which we didn't grab all of them,
no.
It's easy. You say I have 4 Field of the Dead, and 8 lands just entered. That's 32 triggers. You just multiply 4 times 8.
I guess people would say, like, if it's your only 8 lands, that's not going to happen. Obviously, that's way later in the game.
Right.
When you're also playing lands yourself.
Yep. And yeah, that's a point, too, is if you draw a 9th land and play it, you have 2 fields.
And then this is an actual example that this comes up, and I think it's come up a couple of times. If you have 7 uniquely named lands, and one of them is a Field of the Dead, when you play the second Field of the Dead, it's going to make 2 zombies. It's going to check for this Field of the Dead when it enters, and it will check for this Field of the Dead when it enters as well.
Now, the way to play around this a little bit, and it's very corner case, and it probably won't matter at all, is if he has played 7 uniquely named lands, say you have a Field of Ruin in play.
Yep.
You destroy one of the lands in response, and he can't fetch out another uniquely named basic.
Yep.
That Field of the Dead trigger checks upon resolution and says, is there still 7 uniquely named lands?
Yep.
And it fails, so that the token's not created. Now, that's not really a great strategy to beat the deck because a good Scapeshift player is always going to be able to find another basic.
Yeah, you do a lot of your math, and you do have to know it's like you always leave an additional basic into your library if possible. But it does come up.
It comes up. You can get around a trigger,
Yep.
or maybe if it was a Scapeshifted one, you can get around a lot of triggers, but that's very unlikely to happen. We saw Unmoored Ego not really win Brett the game.
No, his plan really was to Unmoored Ego.
The Field of the Dead. Garrison knew that was happening.
Yep.
Unfortunately, you Scapeshifted all wrong.
Yeah.
So a good Scapeshift player is going to realize that if the Field of the Dead is in play, it can't get removed from the Unmoored Ego. So that's why Garrison used the Scapeshift. But he sacrificed both of his green sources.
And it was really bad because the 2 green sources happened to be the ones that I have duplicates of. So my thought process was, I don't want to draw duplicate lands.
Right, I want to have
Field
uniquely
on the
named
line.
lands, yeah.
And it just so happened that I had
left you with blue
basic
and white.
island, and then the Azorius Skill Gate.
Yeah. So you lost that game to yourself.
Yeah. I did. I totally punted.
But so like this deck is very resilient, I guess is how I would say it. So I've seen it win through Alpine Moon because Teferi can bounce the enchantment.
Yeah.
It can win with Hydroid Krasis.
Yep.
And obviously you can play around the Unmoored Ego if you know it's coming.
Yep.
What else? The Ashiok is a hate card that I suppose.
Yeah, and you have to basically if Ashiok is their tech against this, you probably have inevitability because all you have to do is play cards like this.
Yeah,
Ashiok
isn't winning them the game; it's just stopping you from going wide.
Yeah.
Yep. So there's really not. I saw someone talking about Crafty Cut Purse.
Yep, trying to take your zombies.
Flash that in and make the zombies on my side of the board. You got to guarantee that Teferi's not in play, or else you can't play Flash.
Yeah.
So like the deck is super resilient.
Yeah, the problem to that is that it's a good Scapeshift player will know when they have to pick their point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's whether or not when you get down to 1 card, you just have to go like it's time and you have to race. But if you've got 3 and 4 cards in hand, you're probably still holding ramp of some sort and probably multiple pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So you can generate extra zombies every single turn. So and what is it like 2 fields, play a land.
Yeah.
You draw a land, you play a land, you put 4 power.
And I suppose it's worth noting that in a lot of the matches today, you didn't even need the Scapeshifts.
No, round 1 I drew 1 Scapeshift, and I didn't want to cast it because I figured it was at that point the Scapeshift was actually a win more card.
Yeah. You don't need to go wide, you just need to win.
Yeah. Yep.
So I've said it before, I'm saying it again. The deck is still going to be a deck after rotation.
Yeah, and I've heard some people talk about the fact that this is now Scapeshift's the new boogeyman.
That's true.
It has basically solidified itself as the
best deck in
standard currently. Yep. I guess it's
from Esper.
Arguable right now because there's a couple of them and we're towards the end, but
towards the end, it's 2 months until rotation still.
Yeah, we're still towards the
end of the season, and we're only a third of the way into it.
Yeah, but it's good. Like if you like playing lands.
Yep.
So.
All right. Well, we don't want this video to drag on because it was just talking about how Scapeshift works. Like I said, we get comments every single week in every single video about not understanding how these triggers work. So, anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Do you want to say it?
No, you might as well.
Like the video, comment below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell.